What if the greatest treasure of your life has been hidden in a place you never dared to look? What if the key to wealth, freedom, and inner power wasn't in the outer world at all, but buried inside your own forgotten depths? Stay with me, because by the end of this, you'll see why Carl Jung, a man who lived more than a century ago, may have already mapped out the exact path that so many are searching for today. We're told that now is the age of Aquarius, an era where intuition outweighs instruction, and where being true to yourself is finally the most valuable form of currency. But here's the piece no one mentions. Jung saw this coming, not as an economic forecast, but as a psychological prophecy. He wasn't following markets or predicting financial charts. He was decoding the human soul. In a world driven by hustle, endless competition, and the grind, Jung presented something completely radical. He reminded us, you are not what has happened to you, you are what you choose to become. And here's where it gets even more intriguing. What if earning today isn't about adding more, but about going deeper into who you really are? And what if those hidden parts of you, the very ones you've pushed away into the shadows, are actually your greatest creative partners? Stay curious, because what you're about to hear isn't another list of side hustles or quick apps. This is about 5 powerful ideas rooted in truth, alignment, and authenticity. They're not about chasing, they're about discovering. And Jung left us a map to follow. But before we go deeper, I want to invite you to support this journey. Subscribe to SYC Soul. Hit the like button, turn on the notification bell so you never miss an upcoming video, and share this with someone who needs to hear it today. Now, let's continue. Carl Jung isn't here making TikTok videos. He never launched a get-rich-quick course, and he didn't dive into day trading or cryptocurrency. But what he did understand was far greater. The hidden architecture of the psyche, the patterns that shape who we are, and the authentic self that lies waiting beneath the masks. And here's the secret worth holding on to. In today's world, alignment is the new hustle. But to truly talk about alignment, we must first talk about wholeness. Jung gave us 2 powerful keys to unlock this individuation and the shadow. Individuation, Jung's first great idea, was not about becoming something new, but about becoming whole. It meant uniting the parts of yourself you show to the world with the parts you keep hidden in the depths. It was about stepping into the truest version of you, not the version who got straight A's, followed every rule, or lived only to please others, but the version that carries your real essence. And then comes the shadow, the collection of everything you've rejected, silenced, or buried. Your strange quirks, your bursts of anger, your chaotic creativity, the messy dreams you never confessed, the fantasies you thought were too wild, even that desire to leave the 9-to-5 and paint walls in some faraway land. Jung told us something daring. The shadow is not evil. It is unlived life. And in that unlived life lies the seed of your hidden genius. Here's a story to make it clear. A woman once stood at the peak of her career as a lawyer, sharp, admired, successful on every external level. Yet inside, she was miserable. What gave her joy wasn't law at all, but sketching absurd cartoons and writing mystical short stories. Burnout forced her to step away, and when she finally let herself create simply for the fun of it, her hidden passion took root. 2 years later, she was running a thriving webcomic series that earned her 6 figures annually. By welcoming her shadow, her inner artist, her inner child, she discovered not just joy, but prosperity. That is individuation in motion. That is integration turning into expansion. And here's where the golden insight appears. The world is shifting. Value no longer comes from raw labor. We are leaving behind the age of sweat for pay and entering the era of alignment for influence. People crave resonance over perfection. They're drawn to humanness, not flawless facades. When you step forward with your full self, shadows, dreams, and all, you become magnetic. Stay with this thought. What if your story is not your burden, but your strategy? What if your energy itself is the real economy? When consciousness becomes currency, everything changes. Jung saw it coming, the collapse of the old belief that suffering and sacrifice were the only paths to success. Imagine this. Instead of hustling endlessly in someone else's system, you begin to live from your center. That's what Jung meant by individuation. It's not about copying someone else's formula. It's about becoming so aligned with your own essence that what you offer is irreplaceable. And in today's world, where automation and AI replicate tasks faster than humans ever could, what cannot be copied is your authentic presence. But there's another layer Jung revealed. He spoke about archetypes, the deep, universal patterns that live within us all. These are the roles and energies that shape how we act, create, and connect. Some people embody the warrior, others the lover, the sage, or the trickster. You might feel pulled toward being the caregiver, the visionary, or even the rebel. These archetypes are not cages, they're keys. And when you discover which ones move through you most strongly, you unlock a river of energy that fuels your purpose. Think of someone who always brings laughter to the room, effortlessly lightening the weight of others. That's not just a personality. That's the trickster archetype channeling joy and mischief in a healing way. Or consider the friend everyone turns to for wisdom, quiet, reflective, guiding others without trying. That's the sage archetype flowing through them. When you recognize these forces, you don't just play a role, you align with a timeless current of power. Now pause for a moment. And what if the career you're struggling to build isn't failing because you lack effort, but because you're living against your archetype? What if success only comes when you stop fighting the inner current and start flowing with it? Jung wasn't pointing us towards self-help cliches. He was showing us the architecture of human possibility. And here's the truly fascinating piece. In modern times, people don't resonate with perfect scripts, polished ads, or staged authority. They resonate with archetypal energy, the storyteller who awakens them, the healer who comforts, the explorer who inspires courage. This is why some people with no formal training suddenly become global voices. They've tapped into the current of their archetype and let it move through their work. So let me ask you, what energy lives within you, waiting to be claimed? What role keeps whispering through your dreams and decisions, asking to be lived? Stay with this, because Jung's insights go even deeper, and the next revelation may feel like it was written for this exact moment in history. Here's where Jung's work becomes almost prophetic. He believed that when we deny or ignore parts of ourselves, those energies don't simply disappear, they return in twisted, destructive ways. The shadow you bury doesn't vanish. It leaks out as projection, resentment, self-sabotage, and even illness. But the moment you turn toward it, recognize it, and integrate it, that same energy becomes fuel for transformation. Think of how often we blame others for qualities we dislike. He's selfish. She's arrogant. They're lazy. Jung would say, what if those accusations are reflections of the very traits you've buried in yourself? The people who annoy us most are often mirrors, showing us the parts of ourselves we've disowned. And here's the twist. By reclaiming those traits consciously, you not only gain balance, you unlock new energy for creation and purpose. Stay with me here, because this is not just theory. Look around today's world. The influencers, artists, healers, and entrepreneurs who shine brightest are not those who pretend to be flawless, but those who share their journey honestly. They've integrated shadow into light. They show failure as well as triumph, fear as well as courage. And that honesty is magnetic, because it resonates with the truth we all feel inside. Now let me pause to connect with you directly. Are you feeling these insights resonate with your own life? Do you recognize parts of yourself in what I've just shared? If yes, then tell me in the comments below, where are you watching this video from? And if you're finding value here, let me know by admiring this work with a like. Your presence and engagement inspire me to keep bringing Jung's wisdom alive for you. But let's go deeper, because Jung didn't just stop at shadow work. He spoke about something he called synchronicity, those mysterious coincidences that seem too meaningful to be chance. The right book appearing in your hands, a stranger saying exactly what you needed to hear, an opportunity arriving just as you're ready to step forward. Jung saw these not as accidents, but as signals that your inner and outer worlds are aligning. And here's a thought that should keep you hooked. What if success in this new era doesn't come from forcing, but from aligning with synchronicity? What if life itself is trying to guide you toward your path, if only you would listen? Jung's idea of synchronicity reveals something astonishing. Life is not random. It is patterned, woven, and deeply responsive to the state of our consciousness. When you begin to live authentically integrating your shadow, claiming your archetype, and walking the path of individuation, the world around you shifts. Doors appear where there were only walls. Helpers arrive when you thought you were alone. Possibilities open the moment you're ready to step into them. And yet, here's the mystery: most people rush past these signals. They dismiss them as coincidences, as accidents, as luck. But Jung insisted they are meaningful. They're invitations. They're the world whispering, "You are aligned, keep going." Think about the times when you followed a hunch, and it led you exactly where you needed to be. That's synchronicity in motion. Let's make this even more powerful. In today's creative and digital age, those who succeed are not those with the most money, but those who are most in tune with these signals. They sense trends before they become obvious. They follow intuition, even when logic doubts it, and they trust the timing of their path. Alignment is their strategy. Synchronicity is their guide. What if wealth today isn't earned by force, but allowed through flow? What if opportunities already exist around you, waiting only for you to embody the person who can hold them? Jung's vision points exactly there, not toward effort without end, but toward awareness without fear. And because you're walking this journey with me right now, I want to pause for something important. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel, SYC Soul, and hit that like button. Tap the notification bell so you never miss the videos where I share insights like these. And if this content speaks to you, share it with someone who needs it. Together, we can bring Jung's timeless wisdom into the lives of those searching for meaning and clarity. Now, back to the path. Jung also spoke about symbols, the images and patterns that appear in dreams, myths, and art across every culture. These aren't meaningless decorations. They are messages from the unconscious. They reveal what logic cannot, guiding us toward truths our minds are not yet ready to see. So let me ask you, what symbols keep returning in your own life? What images, numbers, or signs cross your path again and again? Could they be carrying a message from your deeper self? Symbols, Jung explained, are not random creations of the mind. They are the language of the unconscious, a bridge between what we know and what we have not yet realized. Think of dreams, strange images, impossible stories, wild combinations of people and places. Most of us brush them aside as meaningless. But for Jung, every dream was a coded message, an attempt of the psyche to balance itself and bring awareness to the dreamer. Consider someone who dreams of climbing endless stairs. On the surface, it seems odd, but in symbolic language, this might reflect their inner struggle to reach higher levels of consciousness, or perhaps a feeling of striving without ever arriving. Another might dream of water overflowing in a house, a powerful image of emotions rising up after being suppressed for too long. These aren't accidents. They're invitations to pay attention. What if your own dreams are trying to hand you the keys to your growth, but you've been ignoring them? What if each symbol is like a mentor waiting to guide you, if only you would learn how to listen? Now, Jung didn't stop with individual dreams. He saw that entire cultures, across time and geography, share recurring symbols: the hero's journey, the great mother, the wise old man, the trickster, the rebirth through death. These universal images, which he called archetypes, live in what he named the collective unconscious. That means deep inside you are not only personal memories, but also echoes of humanity's shared story. And here's where it gets profound. When you connect with these archetypal images, you don't just find personal meaning. You tap into collective energy. That's why stories, myths, and even movies can feel so powerful. They awaken something ancient inside of us. Think of the countless tales where a hero leaves home, faces trials, encounters allies and enemies, and returns transformed. From ancient myths to modern films, the pattern repeats because it reflects our inner journey. And Jung believed each of us is living our own version of that myth right now. So pause and reflect. What chapter of the hero's journey are you in? Are you preparing to step out of comfort, facing trials, or returning with wisdom to share? Recognizing this can turn confusion into clarity, because it reminds you you are not lost. You are on a path as old as humanity itself. When Jung spoke of the collective unconscious, he wasn't offering a metaphor, he meant it quite literally. Beneath your personal memories and experiences, there is a shared layer of human psyche that connects us all. It's why a myth from ancient Greece can still stir your soul today, or why a story told in a distant culture feels strangely familiar. These aren't just tales, they're mirrors of our inner world, alive across generations. But here's the part that keeps you hooked. The collective unconscious doesn't just live in stories, it shapes our choices, our desires, even our fears. You may think your ambitions are unique, but often they echo the archetypal quests embedded in human history. The desire to explore space, for example, is not only technological, it's the archetype of the explorer unfolding in modern form. The need to build communities online? That's the ancient archetype of the tribe reborn in digital space. Jung understood that by ignoring these deep forces, we drift. But when we recognize them, we align with a current larger than ourselves. This is why so many feel empty, even after achieving success. It wasn't aligned with their deeper story. They climbed a ladder only to realize it was leaning against the wrong wall. So here's the rehook for you. What if the confusion you feel right now isn't a mistake, but a signal? What if your life is trying to pull you back to the archetypal story you were always meant to live? And look around, the world today is not short of information, but starving for meaning. That's why voices rooted in truth resonate more than polished perfection. That's why we are drawn to leaders who embody archetypes of the healer, the guide, the visionary, rather than those who simply recite strategies. People don't remember content, they remember the energy behind it. Jung gave us a radical insight here. The more you embody your authentic role in the collective story, the more magnetic your presence becomes. Your work ceases to be just a job, it becomes a contribution to something timeless. So reflect on this. Which archetype is speaking through your actions right now? The seeker, the teacher, the artist, the rebel? And if you dare to follow that call fully, what new path might open in your life? Jung often reminded us that true transformation does not come from denying who we are, but from facing what we fear the most. The shadow, the archetypes, the collective unconscious, all of these point to one truth. The journey inward is the journey outward. To step fully into life, you must first step fully into yourself. But here's the paradox: most people run from this work. They prefer distraction, endless busyness, or external success, believing that fulfillment will come from the outside. Jung turned this upside down. He showed us that the outer world is a reflection of the inner world. What you avoid within will return to you in the form of challenges outside. And what you embrace within becomes strength in your reality. Think of it this way. A person who rejects their vulnerability may attract constant criticism from others until they learn to own their softness as strength. Another who denies their creativity might feel trapped in rigid jobs until they reclaim that spark and allow it to guide their choices. Jung's point was clear. Your outer struggles are often mirrors of your inner resistance. Here's a re-hook that might change how you see things. What if the obstacles you're facing are not punishments, but invitations? What if the very thing you're fighting is the exact key you need to move forward? Jung believed that when we finally turn inward and listen, we encounter something larger than ourselves, what he called the self. Not the ego that seeks praise, not the mask that hides flaws, but the wholeness that holds both light and shadow. The self is the center of the psyche, the guiding force that moves us toward balance and meaning. And here's where the mystery deepens. Jung noticed that when people approached the self sincerely, life itself seemed to reorganize. Dreams became clearer, synchronicities multiplied, and a sense of guidance emerged. It was as though the universe responded to the inner alignment of the individual. Pause for a moment and consider, have you ever felt that when you were most true to yourself, the world around you suddenly supported you? That isn't coincidence. It's the pattern Jung spent his life uncovering. So the question becomes, are you ready to stop fighting your own depths and begin walking with them? Because once you do, you stop chasing life and life starts moving with you. Jung's entire body of work can be seen as a map for wholeness. He never promised an easy path, and he never claimed that integration meant avoiding pain. In fact, he argued the opposite. Real growth often requires walking straight into discomfort. The gold, he said, is hidden in the place we least want to go. Think of the myths where the treasure lies guarded by a dragon. To claim it, the hero must face what terrifies them most. Jung insisted this was no coincidence. It was a symbol of psychological truth. The very things you fear, the failures, the rejections, the parts of yourself you hide, are the guardians of your inner treasure. Confront them, and you unlock energy and wisdom you never imagined you had. Here's your re-hook. What if the thing you've been avoiding is the exact place where your breakthrough lives? What if your shadow, your fear, your uncertainty is not your enemy, but your unclaimed power in disguise? Modern life often sells the illusion of endless comfort, always choosing the easy route, numbing with entertainment, avoiding silence. Jung warned that this avoidance breeds emptiness. To feel alive, you must dare to face the unknown. And in that unknown lies meaning. He also noticed something profound. When individuals embrace their inner work, it ripples outward into society. A person who integrates their shadow becomes less likely to project hatred onto others. A person who accepts their creativity becomes an inspiration for their community. Personal wholeness becomes collective healing. Pause and think. Could it be that the world's chaos is not only a political or social problem, but also a reflection of millions of unresolved inner worlds? Jung believed so, and that's why he urged each of us to begin with ourselves. This is not about perfection. It's about courage. The courage to look within, to integrate, to embody your archetype, to listen to synchronicity, and to follow the guidance of the self. Each step you take inward becomes a step outward into a more authentic life. And now, we are approaching the final insight, the culmination of Jung's vision. Stay with me, because in the next part, we'll draw everything together and reveal the essence of why Jung's wisdom matters more today than ever before. We've traveled far through Jung's vision: individuation, a shadow, archetypes, synchronicity, and the self. And yet, the journey isn't complete until you realize this. Everything Jung spoke of was never just theory. It was an invitation. An invitation for you to live differently, to stop shrinking into masks, and to step into your wholeness. Think of it, most people drift through life wearing borrowed identities. They copy what society praises, chase what others admire, and then wonder why they feel empty inside. Jung reminded us that the real task of life is not imitation but individuation, becoming uniquely, fully, unapologetically yourself. Because the world does not need another copy. It needs you. And here's the rehook: the truth is, the economy of the future is already showing us this. People resonate not with perfection, but with presence. Not with flawless success, but with authentic stories. The more aligned you are with your deepest self, the more your life begins to flow with synchronicity. What once felt like coincidence now feels like guidance. What once seemed like resistance now reveals itself as transformation. But Jung also warned us, this work takes courage. To meet your shadow, to listen to your dreams, to trust your symbols, to embody your archetype. This is not the path of the faint-hearted. It is the hero's journey lived in real time. Yet those who dare to walk it find themselves rewarded with clarity, meaning, and yes, even prosperity. So pause and reflect. What part of yourself have you been avoiding? What dream keeps returning to you at night? What synchronicities have been knocking at your door, waiting for you to notice? Could it be that your next step is not to search harder, but to listen deeper? And now, as we bring this to a close, I want to leave you with this. Jung believed the greatest privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. That is the work, that is the path, and that is the gift. Before you go, if you've journeyed with me all this way, make sure you subscribe to my channel, SYC Soul, hit like, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss the wisdom I'll be sharing next. Share this video with someone who needs it, because just like Jung's insights, the truth grows stronger when it is shared. Your path is waiting. The question is, will you walk it?